In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the art of unseen warfare, chapter 4. Body versus soul. Now back to the body. When it comes to the body and the soul, the question we must always ask ourselves is, which is in control? We ask this question because that which is in control determines our mental and spiritual state, which then drives our actions and behaviors. The soul can be broken down into two further states, the rational soul and the irrational soul. Let us take a brief look at these two distinct inner states. The irrational soul is when the soul is ruled by the body and the senses. When the body and the senses take charge, things get out of whack. The mind and will become subservient to the senses, and the intellect's attachment to the senses enslaves it in bodily pleasure. Saint Theodosius the Libyan, on love, self-control, and life in accordance with the intellect, from the Philokolia. The irrational soul takes over through habitual self-gratification and results in a moral and spiritual decline. In everyday life, it manifests as a predominantly emotional state, characterized by feelings of restlessness and instability. This is often the case of depression, anxiety, and hopelessness. The rational soul is sovereign over the body. Saint Nicodemus explains that even though the body is naturally inclined to the pleasure derived from physical things, it is nevertheless led, governed, and controlled by the mind, soul, when reason is whole and complete. From a Handbook of Spiritual Counsel. The operative words here are, when reason is whole and complete. The rational soul is achieved by temperance, self-restraint, self-awareness, and spiritual practice. Most of us tend to give place to the irrational soul, which is predominantly occupied with filling our carnal desires. Our spiritual life takes the back seat when physical desires take the wheel and govern our actions and thoughts. In unseen warfare, our objective is to train ourselves to have a rational soul. Throughout life, our soul needs much attention and care. It's true, nature is to be a harmony with the body, with God, and with others. The purpose of spiritual life is to maintain, fine-tune, nourish, guide, and guard the soul. Neglecting the soul leads to all our problems in life. Just as the body becomes ill from neglect, so too the soul becomes sick if it is not cared for and nourished. And if one does not seek treatment, the illness progresses. If we see even the slightest sign of a symptom with our body, we rush to a doctor. But with the soul, we don't have the same response. We neglect, procrastinate, avoid, and then explain away the symptoms and warning signs. Sickness of the soul can creep in through any of the three powers of the soul. It can also creep into the soul through the body, through the 5 physical senses. Some of the more common indicators of the soul's illness are prolonged states of unhappiness, instability, anxiety, confusion, restlessness, discontent, depression, obsession, and fear. Illness of the soul often begins in our thoughts or physical senses. If left untreated, it spreads to the will and makes its way to the heart or spiritual center of the soul. In some cases, the illness becomes established and the person learns to live with the disease and goes through life suffering through cycles of pleasure and pain without realizing they're deeply ill. This is the best case scenario. In the worst case, if the illness persists, the soul can eventually collapse into itself like a dying star. It is clear that the health of the soul depends entirely on the three powers of the soul functioning properly as God intended. Some of the vital signs we look for in a healthy soul are contentment, gratitude, peace, clarity, and happiness. Later, we will take a deep dive into the virtues and how they are the remedies for healing the soul. But first, we must understand the underlying maladies. We must understand sin and the passions. That was a subsection from Chapter 4, Anatomy of the Fighter.
What she just created.
What she's done for me is she's given me a master class.
She made a mark on my life. She changed my life.
Why not? What this movie is going to do to the hearts and minds of all of us.
It's gonna touch a lot of people, brother.
I want to kind of like lean towards to more meaningful music. It just makes me want to do better and do bigger things.
I like the masses to know that redemption is possible.
I'm very excited about the opportunity of the lives that will be changed